Morning at NTV. We are live from Kampala's Senate Conference Center. I'm Andrew Chamagero, Omontuawansi, and today there is something very contagious we're going to discuss, and I want to send this conversation to my friends in the refugee centers and those that are helping those, especially those who stay within the camps and they want to change the narrative of a refugee community in Uganda. Now, the president the other day announced the schools will reopen on October 15th for the candidate classes that goes for P7, Senior 4, Senior 6 finalists, and in tertiary colleges and finalists in the universities. Now, it is a welcome announcement, and we thank the President and the entire Ministry of Education for putting children's education first and being learning champions. However, to speak to us about this, we have Mr. John Tederaho, the Acting Director Director Program Quality at World Vision, and we have Dr. Cleophas Mujeni, the Commissioner for Basic Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports. It's very much gratifying to have you this morning. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Tederaho.
Good morning, Mr. Chamagero.
Well, two things that are going to happen, and I'll speak this on record. Thanks to the World Vision, the work you're doing with regards to refugees, the children in the camps, to stay up to date with education, the modules, the mobile journalists within the camps, amplifying their plight. And to the Ministry of Education, I want to thank you for the National Teacher Policy. And again, I want to thank you for the vocational secondary curriculum that is already rolling out. And we are proud that we can see light on the other side of the tunnel. But starting off this conversation, Commissioner, can we open the schools safely from your perspective?
Thank you very much. You thank the World Vision for the support they're giving to refugees. And you forgot to thank the Ministry of Education for having developed the education response plan for refugees and host communities.
Oh, yes.
Uganda is known worldwide as a champion for integrating refugees into the national education system. I believe that it is safe to open schools because we have lived with the virus for over now 7 months. People have adapted to the standard operating procedures and they can take care of their own health. So I believe, given that the guidance that the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education have given to schools and the school leaders, we can safely reopen schools for the candidate classes.
Okay. Because
these are small numbers that can be managed at schools.
Okay. Some schools are turned into quarantine centers. So what becomes of that situation?
It was agreed that the schools that have been serving as quarantine centers will be sprayed before the children are returned to school. So everything possible is being done by the school administrators and the government to ensure that these schools are safe before the children report next week for studies.
Okay. That is with regards to the Ministry of Education. From the World Vision, what is on the ground? Please paint for us a picture, what you see on ground, what has been happening to the children, especially those, to your report that came out just a few months ago to show the increase in violence and all. Can you paint for us a picture, Mr. Tederaho?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamagero, and thank you very much, our Commissioner of Basic Education. First of all, I would like to appreciate government of the Republic of Uganda under the leadership of our President for taking a decision to begin reopening of schools in a phased manner. It is, it is an important step because we believe that the risks of having children at school are not as many as not having them at school at all.
Indeed, I agree.
So our country has 15 million children. And so right now, Uganda is contributing 15 million children to the out-of-school population in the world. And we cannot afford to make that kind of contribution. It is very negative.
Oh, yeah.
So any effort, any any step to reduce on the number of children, out of school is a very welcome effort. Secondly, I would like to thank the Minister of Education under the, the leadership of, our honorable minister and the technical team. They have done well in supporting, continuity of learning. We are dealing with something very difficult, something we have never dealt with before.
It is strange.
It is unprecedented. It is strange. And it calls for understanding on the part of everybody, on the part of, those who are implementing the policy makers, on the part of those, the parents, on the part of, the partners, on the part of children, on the part of teachers. So we really need to focus on those small things that can increase our chances for having children in school. And so taking a step to have our children in school is very, very welcome. Originally we thought that children had a lot of problems. There were many people who used to blame teachers for abusing.
Oh yes,
abusing
the
children.
Yes.
Many people were abusing, members of the public for abusing children. But on Saturday, I attended a function. It's a pre-event for the commemoration of the International Day of the Girl Child, and I listened to a presentation from the Commissioner of Youth and Children, from the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development. He was giving us a status of what is happening in the country regarding child protection. Homes are no longer as safe as they are supposed to be.
True.
Parents are no longer as protective as they used to be. 77% of children who reported having been sexually abused have been abused by their own parents, by their fathers.
Oh, God.
The number of children who have, the number of child abuse cases, has more than doubled. The number of teenage pregnancies has increased. The number of child marriages has increased. So there are so many, and we could also keep children at home, assuming that actually homes are safe and children are at home. The truth of the matter is that we have many children, very many children are not at home. They are in the markets, they are on the roads. You see them on the streets of Kampala. They are in markets, they are everywhere. They are in gardens, and they are not at home, they are not safe. Besides, their parents are out. We are out. And we spend all the days outside, doing, hustling, doing whatever we are involved in, and at the end of the day, we get back home. So we believe that children being at school is an important step, and we acknowledge that government has taken an important step, and we would like to appreciate that.
Okay. Well, with all that he's saying, the Minister of Education, I'm sure you're equally alarmed by the numbers. 77% abused by parents. This is very alarming. What does this inform the ministry?
Well, as you know, COVID-19 pandemic has created a number of challenges, especially during this long period when the children have been at home. The rate of child abuse has increased, defilement, early marriages, and even psychological torture. And as the acting director has pointed out, we are now happy that schools are going to open. But also, as a ministry, we have tried to work hard to ensure that we address these challenges. For example, we have developed guidelines for senior women teachers and senior men teachers, so that when the learners report to school, the teachers are able to support them psychologically, emotionally, and socially to recover from this traumatizing experience, especially those who have been abused. We have also developed guidelines for the prevention and the management of teenage pregnancy. We do hope that this one is also going to help us to address the challenges associated with teenage pregnancy, which are on the increase. But we got some funding from the Global Partnership for Education, and under that, we have a program to provide psychosocial support to the learners and the teachers.
Okay.
And we have also put in place a call-in center at the Ministry of Education and Sports, where children who have challenges can be able to call in and get some support.
Oh.
The only challenge is that the children, majority of the children don't have access to phones, but at least those that have access to phones can be supported. So my appeal is to all stakeholders to join the effort of ensuring that the children are safe while they are at home. As you know, under the local government system, the vice chairperson at every village level is in charge of children affairs.
Oh, yes.
And child abuse is taking place in people's homes. So the chairperson should be able to go to the homes and find out
what's happening,
what is happening, and be able to call village meetings and discuss issues of children, so that when those problems are identified, they're able to come up with strategies to address them
right away. That is the Commissioner of Basic Education from the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Salfas Mujenyi. Well, joining me to give us an update what is happening around the country, I have my colleague Young Stephen from Moroto. Stephen, what is the latest from your area in Moroto? If you could hear me, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Good morning, all viewers in this country and abroad the country. What we have today in Moroto is that the long-awaited outcomes of the NRM primary petitions was yesterday, partly was yesterday delivered, whereby the NRM incumbent for Moroto municipality, that's Fred Angela, had petitioned challenging the difference of 3 votes against his colleague, that is Frank Adome. And the ruling has been overturned against his petition. However, he has called for the calm among the community in Moroto, and he said he does not want to see any fight, does not want to see people burning like a same situation that happened in Amudat. And he also not satisfied with the ruling of the NRM panel, says that much as the president selected a team to handle this NRM primary elections, petitions, but the whole process needs to be overhauled, that they are losing focus. And he's still contemplating whether he will contest as independent or no. But what he says is that he will come back and consult his voters, because it does not have decisions. It is the voters that have the decision. But otherwise, the whole situation is calm. There is no any other fight. People are going on with their business normally. That is briefly what we have in Moroto.
Another colleague, Godfrey Singire in Masindi. Godfrey, if you can hear me, what is the latest in your area, Godfrey?
And everyone. In Masindi yesterday, during the district council, they passed a resolution, and it was an ordinance on how to reduce on the consumption of alcohol by the people of Masindi. And it was found out that in Masindi, there was a lot of consumption of alcohol, especially this alcohol in Bovera, what we call vodka. And yesterday, the district council passed an ordinance on how the consumption should be done. And according to the district speaker, the council was presided over by Moses Kiria, decided that all the bars in Masindi district should open at around from 2 to 3. But right now in Masindi, people that have been opening bars at around 7 a.m. You find when everyone is drunk, And according to them, there's some people even who have been running mad because of alcohol. There was a lot of consumption of alcohol in Masindi. And I've said even most people have not been working. There is domestic violence, because when men go and drink and drink and drink, they don't go back and take something to eat for the children. So there have been a lot of violence in the family. So yesterday the council decided to reduce on that, and they've decided now whoever will be found guilty drinking at around 7, at around 8, or whoever will be found opening his or her bar at around 7, 8, or 9, who will be charged. And some of the penalty that they're put on is you either go to prison for 2 years, or you pay some good amount of money, which is equivalent to 2 million. So that is what is happening in Masindi. And the chairman of 5 Masindi, Cosmas Biarhanga, told us yesterday and said they've decided to do that in order to make these people to be somehow effective and work hard, because when they go to the bars and drink from morning up to evening, there's nothing they can do for their families. So that is what is happening in Masindi. And we are following this story closely, and we shall be updating the nation about this story.
Indeed, thank you so much. That is my colleague Godfrey in Masindi. Alcoholism and drinking. You can drink from 7 a.m. I'm so thankful to the team that is in Masindi, the leadership in Masindi, for taking this up. Now, while we're winding up this conversation, Commissioner, what is government bringing on table to make sure that these phases schools open up in good safety measures? But again, what is government giving schools that can't afford this as we're winding up?
Thank you very much. When there was an outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Education and Sports came up with a plan of how to manage mitigation and the control of COVID-19 in schools and education institutions, how to manage continuity of learning, and the reopening of schools. As you know, we have been ensuring that there is a continuity of learning as children are at home. The government distributed self-study materials. Government also put materials online so that those learners that have access to internet can be able to learn. There are UBC and other radios have been conducting radio teaching. We have also been having teaching on TV. So government has tried its level best to see that there's a continuity of learning while the learners are at home. Now, as we look forward to the opening of schools, the ministry has put in place a number of measures. Number one, of course, we have widely saturated what the schools are required to do. The PS issued a circular. The Directorate of Education Standards has trained all heads of schools and institutions. We have also liaised with the district task force to clarify on the roles of the DEO, district inspector of schools, the head teachers are working in partnership with the district task force. The Directorate of Education Standards had also come up with a monitoring tool to assess the schools whether they meet the criteria to give even a certificate of compliance which allows them to open or to advise them to improve so that they can be allowed to reopen. For example, the inspection tool is addressing issues of the school environment. It is addressing the issues of hygiene. We expect a school to have water collection points, to have water tanks, to have sanitizers, to have temperature gun. We are focusing on the safety of the learner if, for example, it is a boarding school.
Okay.
And so many other issues. So government is offering, has already sent funds, capitation grant to all schools that is being processed to facilitate these schools to put in place the basics. As for the private schools, they are being encouraged to follow the guidance to ensure that all the standard operating procedures are in place. so that they are able to get a certificate of compliance that will allow them to reopen.
Okay, that is the Commissioner for Basic Education. Mr. Tereraho, as you're winding up this conversation, what's a call to action as citizens of this country, as the society, to the bigger picture, to save the children and to support the structures of education that are big?
Thank you very much. We are dealing with a pandemic, and government has been very proactive on developing standard operating procedures. The Ministry of Health has guided very well on how we should deal with how we should address COVID. And it is very clear that we cannot deal with COVID when our hygiene is compromised.
Yes.
So we need to do everything possible to ensure that our schools have got water. We need to do everything possible to ensure that children get into the culture of washing their hands with water and soap. That would be something very, very important. But also, we need to sanitize as regularly as possible. It means that schools need to get those areas, those points where sanitizers must be available, where water must be available, so that people can have access to water, so that the hand hygiene is not compromised in any way. And then we also need to think about social distancing as a matter of fact, but also ensure that children have got, they have masks. I would call upon government, and I'm happy government is, government to think about this and has given, guidance on what we should be doing. But this time around, I would like to request that we become very serious.
Okay.
The other day, I saw the Permanent Secretary Minister of Health. She's requesting for a supplementary to buy masks for children who should be reporting in the next 2 weeks, in the next 1 week. And I think we are not being proactive.
Okay.
So that scares me, that we do not even have masks for the children who are going to
go back to school.
To go back to school.
Okay.
So, government needs to really do, there are simple things that should not catch government off guard.
Oh, yeah.
Off guard. So my call is to realize that this is a problem which government cannot deal with alone.
We need to be a part of it.
We need to be part of it. The teachers need to be part of it. The attitude needs to change. The parents need to be part of it. Everybody needs to come on board, and we make sure that we build the confidence of children in what we are doing.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, children will get scared. Everybody else will get scared. And even if we take them to schools, it is not going to make sense to them.
Thank you so much, Uncle
all
John.
of us need to come into this thing and deal with it.
That is Mr. John Tereraho, the Acting Director of Program Quality at the World Vision. Thank you so much, World Vision. When it gets to education and the children, you're so much on point. And Dr. Salofas Mujenyi, the Commissioner for Basic Education from the Ministry of Education. Now, I understand my colleague Stephen Mbide is on the ground in Namasua to give us the current update on traffic update. Mbide, if you can hear me, what is the latest on the streets?
Yes, Andrew Chamagero, I'm standing here at Namasua.